All right, next question. What mass of silver sulfide contains 2 grams of silver? All right. Now, this is yet another question that would trouble some students because they have this idea like, oh, if I go from big to small, that makes sense, right? If like earlier question, we went from calcium phosphates to number of phosphate ions, that makes sense, right? Just like how I use the analogy of people and fingers, like if you know the amount of people, and then you shall know the number of fingers, of course, assuming that everyone is, healthy, okay, not having any sort of deformity. Everyone is having 10 fingers, okay? Now, what about this one right here? All right, we are saying, hey, you got 2 grams of silver. So let me go ahead and make sure that you master this thought process. If you know the mass of silver, ask yourself, does your brain, does your mind automatically give you the green light and say, oh, then I shall know the moles of silver? All right, that is the first critical test. Does your mind, does your brain give you the green light and say, oh, you know the mass, we shall know the moles in seconds? Just give me a periodic table, give me a calculator, we shall have the number. But even though you don't know the exact number, but you know this number will exist in the near future, okay? Do you know that number will exist? If you don't know, that means you are not quite there yet in terms of your understanding of molar mass, okay? If this becomes automatic, if this gives you a little green light, then you say, oh, okay, I know molar mass because I'm very automatic in looking beyond the number that is being presented to you. Okay, number one. Number two, well, the thought process right here, it's different from the calcium phosphate one, but it's not that different. It's like saying like, oh, calcium phosphate question is like, oh, find out the number of people, then you shall know the number of fingers. All right. And now we're saying, well, if I give you the number of fingers, then can you tell me how many people are there? That's a kind of thought process, the ratio. From big to small or from small to big, it's just a little reverse in direction. So if you know the moles of silver, and by the way, the formula for silver sulfide, it's Ag2S, then you shall know the moles of Ag2S because there are 2 Ag for every Ag2S. It's like saying like, oh, we have what? We have 6 hands, all right? We have 6 hands in the room. How many people do we have here in the room? That's the kind of question that we have here. And once you know the moles of Ag2S, then you shall know the mass of Ag2S. And again, there should be an automatic green light because, hey, you know molar mass. You should know about molar mass. So let's go ahead and list out the molar mass of interest, or molar masses of interest right here. They are Ag, and I'm looking at my periodic table. It's 107.868 grams per mole. Don't forget the units. And now your periodic table might have a slightly different number, and that's okay. You can use yours, and I would use mine, not a problem. Ag2S, it's 247.801 grams per mole. Okay, so if we have 2 grams of silver, then we shall know how many moles of silver. And that's going to be a tiny fraction of a mole because 0.1 mole, it's 10.7 grams, right? And this is just 2 grams. So I'm expecting somewhere around 0.02 mole of silver, okay? All right, and then we say what? Well, there are 2 moles of Ag to every single Ag2S, okay? Now, some students would feel a little bit uncomfortable right here, like, oh, how do you know the 2 should go in the bottom and not in the top? Same question. If you got 6 hands, how many people are there? Is it 12 people or is it 3 people? Okay, so if you are just looking at the numbers, it makes no sense. But if you say, hey, I can look at this like a little body, right? Like a little body right here. Okay, if you have, if you know the number of Ag plus, then we're saying like then how many of this individual compound there will be. Then you know it would only make sense if the number is half of the number of Ag, because you need 2 Ag plus to make an Ag2S. And then for the mass, it's going to be 1 mole of Ag2S and then 247.801 grams of Ag2S. Okay. Now, another common mistake that I also saw in the past is that some students, they are really not thinking about what they're writing. The unit is grams per mole. That's why we have grams per mole, okay? But some students, they would put down the mole in the bottom and the grams at the top, and also they would put in the per mole over here as well, which is nonsense. If you know what you're writing, then please write what you know. And if you don't know, then find out what the meaning is before you start writing or calculating. All right, so let's go ahead and compute. All right, 2 divided by 107.868. Yes, it's 0.0185, like what we approximated. It's close to 0.02 divided by 2 times 247.801. And the mass is going to be 220, well, 2.297, which ends up to be 2.30 grams of Ag2S. That's it. That's it. Okay, so again, this is a thought process. Do you know what you're calculating? Now, I know some teachers, they are really into this whole train track, and to cover you up, you can just go ahead and put the train track like this to please your teacher, right? So I don't know. I would like to say teachers who like to use a train track, they are likely not too passionate about mathematics. So they just go with the easier to organize kind of method over the actual math concept.